Hey everyone, Hitesh here from ET's personal tech team. Now right here we have the brand new iPhone XS and the XS Max. Fresh from the September 12th global launch event that Apple had at their headquarters. We have both of these in the brand new gold color. So let's quickly take you through the unboxing of the both the devices. So we'll start with the XS, move that off to the side. The box is just like you would expect from Apple, not a lot of change here compared to the 10. This is the 256 gigabyte version. There is also a 512, that is the top end version. So let's open this up and see what we get. Designed by Apple in California. Up front we have the usual, you get the stickers, there's a SIM eject tool, warranty information, regulatory information, and a quick start guide. Here we have the phone. So the XS is exactly the same size as the 10 dimensions, and the weight is almost the same, just a little, maybe 3 grams heavier this time, but still has the same surgical grade stainless steel. This is the gold version, like I mentioned. So there is a gold hue on the frame and as well as on the back. Let's keep that off to the side. This is the charger, standard. Unfortunately, not a fast charger. You can use a fast charger, but you will have to buy that separately along with a USB Type-C to Lightning cable. So that remains the same as before. You do get the Lightning earphones. And here is the Lightning cable in the box as well. Although one thing that is conspicuously absent is the Lightning to 3.5mm adapter. Apple has been including that in the previous phones, but this year it is not present, and that is the same in both of them. Now the XS Max, at least to me, is the more interesting of the two devices because it is a whole new size, 6.5 inch. That's a massive screen size. And that they have done by keeping the same design of the 10, the XS, but by obviously increasing the size of the device in total. Now, the size of this is roughly equivalent to a Plus phone. So if you've used the 7 Plus, 7S Plus, 8 Plus even, the size of the device and the dimensions is what I mean, stays roughly the same, but you get a 6.5 inch screen in this as opposed to 5.5 in the previous phones. Moving on to both the phones, design-wise, they're fairly similar. Obviously, dimensions, battery size, screen size, those are the things that are different internally as well. Same Face ID system, same processor, everything is the same. So quite glossy, obviously. There is a glass front and glass back as well. Apple does say this is the toughest glass they have ever used, so it should be a little bit more resistant to scratches and damage than before. Gold version doesn't look very gold in the camera image, but it is a little bit more golden hue. Actually, when you're looking at it in real life, there is a bit more of the golden hue as well on the frame, and this is what will make the XS and XS Max stand out compared to the previous one. The Max, of course, will stand out by its size. So we have both of them set up as well. Tap and it opens, tap and unlock. So here's a quick different size comparison between the XS on the left and the XS Max on the right. The XS has a 5.8 inch OLED screen and the Max is a 6.5 inch OLED. So there is quite a big difference in size, as you can see right here. The wallpaper, the clever life wallpaper that Apple is using, does help to hide the notch in both the cases because of the way it curves around. It's actually a bubble, not a planet. Actually, I know it does look like a planet. It's a bubble, and if you on the lock screen do press on it, it does animate a little bit, just like all live wallpapers. So that's as far as the screen comparison is concerned. In terms of the specifications, there is an A12 Bionic chip this time. It's a brand new chip that Apple is using, 7 nanometer chip, 6 core, and paired with 4 gigs of RAM in both the devices. Apple doesn't actually release how much RAM the devices have, but we do know that it has 4 gigs of RAM, up from 3 last year in the iPhone 10. So talking about the cameras, both of them have the same setup. It's a 12 megapixel primary with f1.8 aperture, 28 mm focal length, optical image stabilization. And the secondary camera is also 12 megapixel f2.4 with a 52 mm focal length. So you get 2x optical zoom. Both of them are optically image stabilized. So that looks like it's pretty much the same from last year in the iPhone 10. Up front, you have a 7 megapixel f2.2 sensor. So if we come to probably one of the big questions that you have, that what are the primary upgrades from the iPhone 10 to the 10s and 10s Max? So first thing would be the new A12 Bionic 7 nanometer processor, which is actually the first commercially available 7 nanometer processor. And the upgraded camera sensors would probably be the second. So while the specs almost look the same, the sensors on both of them have been upgraded with larger pixels. It's a 1.2 micron previously, and it's gone up to 1.4 micron. Now, larger sensor gives you more sensitivity to light, better images in low light, and should generally result in better photographs all round. So apart from that, now there is improved water resistance in both of them. IP67 before, and both of these are now rated at IP68. So a little bit more depth, a little bit more time underwater. Dual SIM is now standard, but this does not mean that there are two SIM slots. Apple is doing the dual SIM implementation with an eSIM. So if you look at the box, you actually get two IMEI numbers, and even in the settings page, if you go, you will see that there are two IMEI numbers listed over there. So the second SIM you have to enable via eSIM. Not all operators will be supporting it, but coming to the support, it should be Airtel and Jio to start with that support the eSIM, and you will be able to manage both the lines like you do with a standard dual SIM phone. The other thing that's new is, of course, the louder speakers with better stereo separation. So the Max obviously has the loudest simply because of the sheer size. But yes, you do get a very good stereo separation. We did experience the sound at the launch event, and the stereo also works while recording. So if you're recording video, you do get recording of stereo audio, which when you then play back, you can tell the separation of the left and right channels. And bump up in RAM, again, I did already mention that. So those are the things that are the major upgrades. Some of the other minor things that may slip under the radar, the touch sensing layer is a faster 120 hertz touch sensing, so it feels a little bit smoother. Note that the screen refresh rate has not changed. It's actually the touch sensing layer. There's faster wireless charging. There's a new smart HDR feature for the camera that is enabled because of the A12 Bionic chip. And there are larger batteries. So while the 10s has a slightly larger battery than the 10, what we think that the battery size is about 2800 on the 10s, and it was about 2716 in the 10. And the Max has a 3400 milliamp hour battery, which should result in pretty good battery performance. We will of course be testing that out. The differences come about in the screen size, obviously screen resolution as well. 5.8 inch here on the 10s has a resolution of 2436 by 1125 pixels. This one 6.5 inch screen, 2688 by 1242 pixels. Now, reason for these is because they're keeping the pixel density constant. It's 458 pixels per inch. In terms of weight, it's 177 grams, 208 grams. Not a pretty big difference in weight. And of course the overall dimensions, the 10s is the same as the 10, while the Max is a whole new size. Now coming to the question of whether you should upgrade or not, probably if you already have an iPhone 10 and you're looking to buy the 10s, that is not probably what we would recommend. Not a very big upgrade or not a very big jump there. If you want to move from the iPhone 10 and you really want a larger screen size, you want to go to the Max, then probably yes, that is a good upgrade. Or if you're coming from any other older phone or any older iPhone, and if you want to move to the 10s or the 10s Max, that will obviously be a pretty big jump. Now here's a size comparison that we've put together. Starting with the iPhone 10s here, this is the iPhone 8, OnePlus 6, the 10s Max, the Galaxy Note 9 and the Pixel 2 XL. Now Note 9 obviously is the largest of the bunch here, and it also does have a little bit of a thicker bezel on the top and the bottom. The Max does away with those bezels and therefore gets in the largest screen size of any of these here, while remaining roughly the same size as the OnePlus 6, as you can see here. So the last point I just wanted to make about the A12 Bionic chip in both these phones, and actually how much of a big jump that is in terms of overall raw performance. Because of the new manufacturing process, the 7 nanometer manufacturing process, they've actually fit in 6.9 billion transistors onto this chip, and that is a huge 60% jump from the A11 from last year. And 6 cores, it's 2 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, and the GPU has been upgraded as well. It's a 50% faster GPU than before. These are the claims that we have got. We will obviously be testing this out. And lastly, in the A12 Bionic chip, there has been an upgraded neural engine. Now the neural engine helps with a lot of things, a lot of apps, image processing, things like that. It was a dual core neural in the iPhone 10 previously, and now it is an 8 core neural engine in the A12 Bionic that is about 8.3 times faster than before. So that's about it with these two new phones. We will be doing a full test on this, doing a camera, battery test, etc., all of that. So do look out for that. In the meantime, if you have any questions on the 10s and the 10s Max, do let us know in the comments or reach out directly via Twitter. Thanks for watching.